right. Well, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you're able to get some of this rain that's currently going through Manitoba. Definitely much warranted. Starting to see the grass green up and flowers on the apple trees. So hopefully that means a bountiful harvest come this fall. So thank you for joining us today. With this webinar being an overview of how a community came together to meet the growing needs of childcare within their community. This webinar is going to highlight how other communities and municipalities can replicate this project. And before we really dive into it, I just want to remind everybody that this will be recorded and will be shared later on our website at rmedcorp.ca. First, I want to acknowledge that our Brandon office is located on Treaty 2 lands, which is the traditional homelands of the Dakota, Anishinaabe, Oji Cree, Dene, and Métis peoples. However, we work extensively throughout Manitoba in the lands of Treaties 1 through 4 and the southern portion of Treaty 5. RMED respects the treaties that were made on these lands, where we will work together. We commit to reconciliation along this path to economic prosperity. And just to give everybody a little overview on who we have with the RMED team, we have our administration coordinator, Ama Anadozi. If she's going to show up and wave, maybe not. We've got our marketing coordinator, Familila Abiola Adutola. And we've got my partner in crime here, the other economic development advisor, Deanna Fredvinson. Now, let me say a few words about our guest. Kara Burney has been the Economic Development Officer for the Town of Carberry since November of 2022, where they have seen a significant business growth and development. Kara is a wife, a mother of 5, and a grandmother of 2, and all of Kara's children live or work in the community. Kara was born and raised in the Town of Carberry and has a passion to see her community thrive in the future. And before I hand it over to you, Kara, I just want to make everybody aware that we will have a couple surveys pop up, both before the presentation gets underway as well as after. So I appreciate if everybody would just take a moment and complete those. Right. And take it away, Kara.
Good morning, everyone. So, as maybe some of you know, I'm Kara Burney and I'm the Economic Development Officer here in the Town of Carberry. I am going to leave your screen and share my screen as I have a presentation all ready for you. And I think you'd rather maybe look at it than look at my face while I'm talking all morning. So, here we go. Hopefully, it all works as planned. How does that look?
Good, we can see it perfectly.
Perfect. Okay, so today I'm going to share with you our town story and our journey as our community is now growing at an exponential rate. And we're navigating how to develop and create some spaces in our childcare problem that we're having, and I'm sure most people who are attending today are having as well. So Eric kind of gave you an overview, but I have been here at the Town of Carberry in this role as an EDO since November of 2022. Carberry is my hometown. I have 5 children, 2 grandchildren, and they all live or work in the area. So childcare is definitely something that will affect me in the future. My kids are all past the point of needing childcare, but I'm hoping that they're going to stick around as that's part of my role here, and I'd like to see that happen. So Carberry is a small town of 1,900 people. We also have a surrounding municipality that has 3,500 people. Our community serves nearly 5,400 people on a daily basis, and our location is just off the number 1 and number 5 highway. So we're a very busy and vastly growing community. When I was hired in 2022, there were 4 main goals that I was to work on right off the top: revitalizing Main Street, revitalizing our chamber, helping to bring in healthcare professionals, and build a new childcare facility. All four of these tasks go hand in hand, as many of you know. One makes the other stronger, and it helps to make Carberry a more desirable place to live, work, and open a business. The three tasks have fallen into place, so our main street is now 98% full with businesses often seeking space regularly. We are completely out of commercial space. Our chamber has grown from 34 inactive members to 98 active members. And in the last 2 years, we have successfully secured two doctors and a second nurse practitioner to our medical team here in town. So the final task that's on my list is building a childcare center. It became my main focus, and this is how Carberry has worked on our journey. So my very first week, one of the 7 owners of the building that is up on the screen came into my office and said, "How are you going to fill this empty building?" It was new 2 years prior and was originally built with a very specific idea in mind. It was supposed to be for a private assisted living firm, and that fell through. So the owners had been sitting on the property and all of the expenses for a little over a year when I came into my role. I had just been to a presentation by Minister Scott Johnson at the time, who was the government of Manitoba's Minister for Seniors. He spoke about a care facility in Denmark, which is known as the Denmark model, where assisted living and childcare were housed under one roof, offering seniors vitality and youth a lesson in empathy. My hopes were to make this space work for both by filling half with with assisted living residents and half with the daycare. So after a tour, a community meeting, and much discussion with Lily Millard, who is the Facility and Capital Development Analyst at the Space and Capital Development Unit for Early Childhood Learning and Childcare Division of the Education and Early Learning for the Government of Manitoba. That's a mouthful. I'm glad I don't have to write that all the time. It was determined that 4 walls would need to be removed. Bathrooms would have to be taken apart and redone to make them child and caregiver safe and friendly, and work would need to be done in the kitchen area for safety. This seemed attainable until we learned that there was in-floor heating throughout the building. So this changed the plans and it became quite costly with an estimate of nearly 1.2 million. The building owners did not want to proceed with this project, so it was canceled. The second attempt to a child care center in our community started right after these investors owners made their decision. Lily had held a webinar about the RTM daycare program and encouraged us to enroll. I created a proposal for joint council. So in Carberry, joint council is the municipalities of North Cyprus Langford and the Town of Carberry municipality. I created this proposal and presented it to council as the land we were seeking to put this RTM on would be owned by joint council. We also felt that this land was justified because residents from both municipalities would be using the facility. The proposal included 2 acres of service-ready land, 15 years of rent-free to the provider, and the land and building would be a community-owned building with an assessment management plan in place for 15 years at minimum. So the site ready included water, sewer, hydro, internet to the property line, and the municipal road to the property line. After the build, they would care for the grass, the snow removal, and the building maintenance for up to 15 years. Joint council did agree, and we proceeded with the application process. We started to hear about other communities that had been awarded RTMs, so I reached out to see where Carberry was at. I was informed by phone call that we were at the top of the list but did not make the cut for 2023. We would be at the top of the list for 2024 and we did not need to reapply. We were happy with that answer as we knew that there were many who had applied. I waited and monitored the situation, and over the next few months, I would periodically contact the government to see where things were at. I was often told that they were behind on the 2023 builds and to wait to hear from them. In the meantime, Carberry was growing quickly in both business and residential. We are desperate for another childcare center, and we just can't wait. So we decided not to sit. We decided to move forward. So our third time, the final attempt began on March of 2024. It started when I put out a call to the community for a committee for a future childcare center in Carberry. And I think that's key, just so everyone is aware. When I put it out as a board, I had 2 people that showed up. When I put it out as a committee, 9 people showed up. So those 9 people that showed up to that meeting, there was also 6 more who were interested and unable to attend that night. At that meeting, I presented the hopes to build a new center, the challenges that we had faced in the past, and requested a group of individuals assist me in making this a reality for our community. By the end of that first meeting in March, we had set a goal to open our doors to a new center by March of 2026. So right away in April, we went back to Joint Council and asked them if they would honor their commitment to donate the land for this project. Not only did they agree, but they also jumped on board by delegating a council person from each council to sit on the board, and the town offered to host the reserve fund. This ensured that the committee would receive donations and were able to issue tax donation receipts. There were several requirements that we as a committee had to complete right at the beginning. We did some training through the government of Manitoba. So all you need to do is just research through Google the Early Learning and Childcare Division, and it is the childcare information session. At least one person off of the committee, I suggest at least 3, should attend that session. It is a free session, there's no cost to it. We also needed to develop a logo, create our leaders for this committee, open bank accounts, and attend boot camps. Then the easy task came of getting the word out, and that was the most important part. So the first step was required was this training through the Manitoba government. If your community is looking to open a center, you must have someone who will be on the committee attend. It is virtual, and all you need to do is log on to their website and register. They contact you when the next session is happening, and they'll send you that link. Next, we created our logo. We made something simple and easy, but identifiable as ours. The color blue was chosen because it is the main color for both our municipalities. We also knew that it would only be used until the daycare board took over from the committee and a new name was being used. So we didn't spend a lot of time on it, but just made it super simple. Identifying our leaders. So I was very lucky when it came to this to have people from all different backgrounds who joined this committee. We had people that had specialties in engineering, people who had been on boards before, fundraising backgrounds. So I consider myself lucky. I know that doesn't happen often. These leaders naturally emerged into the different roles of chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. Subcommittees were also formed right away that included fundraising and social media. Those were key as we know that fundraising is always something that's difficult. So if a committee can be formed, they already have people that are working on their side. And social media is so important in communities such as ours because we do not have any local papers. So getting word out is through social media only most of the time or word of mouth. Fundraising. So donations are always welcome, and it's always the easiest way to have money rolling into any kind of community development. But we also wanted to have some money to start that bank account up. So we started out with a few small fundraisers. The group did a pizza sale. They followed up with a community barbecue. Once the word got out that our community was doing this to build a daycare, it was a lot easier to raise the money. We felt that there was a lot of support in our community. A golf tournament was also something that we hosted, and we regularly do some bartending in town. Raising money is the main part of this, but we also do this so that we have our image out in the community and we're giving back to those who are giving to us. A bank account was established with a financial agreement that is standard in our community for any committee under council. We created the reserve fund, which is set up by the town. The committee sets up their own account and they are, and I'm going to put this in quotations, allowed to keep up to $5,000 in their account to cover things such as rental or items that they may need for immediate payments. After a fundraiser or quarterly, whenever the money is over 5,000, they transfer it into the reserve account. This ensures accountability and keeps the accountants happy when they do their yearly audit. As a committee, with the money from the government grant of 60%, which ends March of 2026. So if you're looking to get in on this, you need to look at it very soon. The total building cost that we will need is still 40%, and that covers the extras plus our mortgage. The startup grants don't cover everything, so we know that we're going to look at things such as toys, indoor, outdoor equipment, and the startup of our staff. So we've been really lucky that we've had some of our members of the community give some small, some large amounts. So we decided we would create this donation chart in our thank yous that go out on social media because it's just a nice way of not putting a number there, but a range. So boot camp. This boot camp came up. It was advertised by Cooperatives First, and it was in Brandon. It came across my screen, and I sent it to our board, and they thought that it would be a good idea to attend. It's where our real fun kind of started. Our vice chair and I went to this boot camp that was hosted in Brandon. It was presented by Cooperatives First, but also in association with Assiniboine Credit Union. Lily Millard was there from the Government of Manitoba. Carol Saville was also there, and she's a supervisor with the child care coordinators for Westman. I've included the hour-long presentation. I'm not going to play it because we don't have an hour long to watch the presentation, but you can watch it at your leisure. It's on YouTube. The right here at the top, it's got what the title is. So it's starting a childcare co-op in Manitoba, and it's full of information. The entire boot camp is there except for the separate people that were up on the podium. So I think it's something that we've used, we've gone back to, we've pulled things out of, and it's completely free for anyone to use. So the reason we decided to go this route once we got back was that, for starters, it was free. It was completely a free option for us. Childcare the Child Care of Manitoba, the government section is paying for this in cooperative with Prairie Can. So it is people that have a knowledge that we don't have. They give you a free handout workbook toolkit that identifies step by step what needs to be done. We completed it, we send it to them, we do the steps that they ask us for as they are the experts in the field. They have the knowledge, background, and connections that many times we as a committee don't, and have worked with us each step of the way. So getting the word out. Once our community started to work with Cooperatives First, things moved along very quickly. We realized we were further along than we thought, and it was time to let the community know. Officially, we put the shovels in the ground with representatives from both council and created quite a stir of excitement in our community. So this happened just this winter. Um, there's going to be a marker put down where it is in town, but the map went out and it really created quite an excitement because right here in this square is where our center is going to be. And it's, right coming into town. This is going to be our new recreation area. So there's lots going on there. So what's in a name? Everything. We wanted the community to take ownership and be proud of what we were doing. So we as a committee sat down and put our best efforts forward. Then we narrowed it down to our top 4 through a vote in our own community, our own committee. The name had to have Child Care Cooperative incorporated in the title because we are working with Cooperatives First and we are becoming a cooperative. So these 4 names were put forward out to the community and they were Growing Roots, Tiny Taters, Gather and Grow, and Kind Crop Childcare. Tiny Taters won, and it was 59% of the vote, so it led by far. If you know anything about Carberry, we grow potatoes, and we're quite proud of our potatoes. So we weren't surprised that Tiny Taters was what was chosen. So then we had to submit that name to ensure that it was not already registered, and that's how Tiny Taters came to be. So where are we now? Currently, our subcommittee is working with Cooperatives First. So there's 3 people that are on our large committee that have been designated by the committee to work with Cooperatives First, and they meet every Tuesday virtually for 1 hour. At our last committee meeting, they were able to speak with some of the contractors and discuss that we've decided on an RTM and the different kind of foundations that we are hoping to build on. We are doing a basement as part of our development. So, that was part of what we needed to discuss is how we were going to have that as an option, whether we were going to open it up right away or if we were going to split it. We as a committee decided that due to staffing issues across the province, we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. So we've decided that we are going to do it in 2 phases. We are going to open the main floor first and open 60 spaces on the main floor with the development of the second floor as we move along and we find more staff. So the support of our community has been amazing and the donations keep rolling in. Grants are being applied for, and we're now in the process of having the land titles transferred. Once this is complete and a final quote is given from our contractor, we will apply for the 40% of the mortgage and 60% through the Government of Manitoba through the Early Learning and Childcare Building Fund. I've included the link for that information. It's right here on the bottom. The Cooperatives First team is walking us through all of the paperwork, often completing and submitting it for us. We just have to oversee and give the okay. We provide all the information, but they do the hands-on work. Because we are mostly a volunteer board outside of myself, that really has helped move things along faster as well. Cooperatives First are optimistic that we could open our center as early as December of 2025, but we are still anticipating the opening being March of 2026. Oops, sorry, wrong way. So thank you for attending today. I know that this is a long journey to develop a childcare facility in any community, and I hope that you understand that those many obstacles you're facing, we all are. And I also hope that you have found something in this presentation that you're able to take away to help with your journey. I've included my contact information. If there's anything I can do to help you find a way to get in touch with Cooperatives First or the Government of Manitoba or assist you with anything else, I would love to help you out. We cannot share our building drawings with anyone. That's part of our contract with our with our contractor. But again, that's something that Communities First really helped us with, and we were really concerned with going forward because we couldn't find anything that was suitable to what we were looking for either. So again, thank you. And let me get back to
Great. Thank you so much for that, Kara.
You're welcome.
Now, I could probably go on for quite a while asking questions, but I think before I get started with that, I'll open it up to the floor. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can put it up in the chat.
Good morning. I'm Heather Lamb, Mayor of Riverdale, and we are very hopeful about getting a second daycare as well in Riverdale. We have 80 kids on a waiting list. We've tried filling in different grant forms, and we're currently looking at the RTM 60/40 program. But we were told the 40% proceeds we would need to secure before we proceed. And that's become the challenge. We've done different fundraising. But what really jumped out at me with this process, we've never thought of meeting with the cooperative first. So maybe that would give us that edge that we'll be able to proceed having a mortgage instead of having all this funding secured ahead.
I totally agree. And they're able to help you look at different assets that you already might have. That your land can be part of your 40% asset. So that was what helped us secure ours, was that the land was donated, so we didn't have to purchase land, and that's considered an asset when you're going forward for that 40%.
Wow. Because we do have land already secured, so that's healthy.
Mhm.
So this definitely was a great presentation. I'm so excited to share this with council and our CD committee and of course our daycare board that is trying so hard, these young ladies trying to move ahead with a second daycare.
Yes, well, good luck, and like I said, that 60/40, it ends March of 2026. So you don't have to be built by then, but you have to have your grant application in by then. So you need to have your 40% secured, and that's why we went with Cooperatives First, because we were afraid that we wouldn't meet that deadline,
Oh,
and we now know that, we're going to meet that deadline, and part of what I wanted to get out to everybody today was it's coming close. Like, we're already past March of 2025, and those things need to be applied for. So just know that that deadline is there.
so the deadline is just to be successful with the grant, but I don't have to have the RTM built by then, like
That's
basically.
correct. Yeah, you just have
Okay.
to have the stamp of approval from the government of Manitoba.
Because there was some confusion when the daycare filled out the grant. So at the moment, I don't think there is a form, even though it's been ongoing. So I think our first step will be to get the proper paperwork done. And then our next phone call will be to the cooperative first and
Mhm.
do that committee and do all the steps, take the training like what you have done.
Yeah, so we actually don't have that form filled out either. Our form will come after. So because you have to have your contractors in place and know how much you're going to have to put forward
Uh-huh.
before you know what your 40 and 60 are going to be to apply for.
Oh,
So
okay.
I would suggest or contacting the cooperatives first and getting
Okay.
them on board with you, because they're going to walk you through that step process, and they will complete that form with you and ensure that it gets sent off once all of the steps are fulfilled.
Oh, okay. So they'll help us with the form. That would be
They
good.
help you with everything. Yep,
Wow.
right down to your finances, how to break it all down, what you need. Yeah. They
And
they
they're out
are
of Brandon Cooperative First?
No, they're actually out of Saskatchewan.
Oh,
So we do everything virtually. They just came to Brandon to present the boot camp,
uh-huh,
but they're based out of Saskatoon.
uh-huh,
But it's a program that is being paid for by the government of Manitoba and PrairieCon, because those
uh-huh.
grants weren't being applied for, because we're all volunteers for the most part that are working on this, and people just didn't know where to start.
Exactly.
So they decided that this was something, they're experts in the field, they know what they're doing, and it's getting those steps rolling along because they've promised, the government has promised so many childcare spots to be open by 2026.
Mhm.
Now they have to help us fulfill those by giving us some tools, and this is one of those tools. So,
Well, the good thing is an RTM will be quick with the
yeah.
modulars and however they can
Yep.
put it together real fast. So that part is good. So for us to get the information on Cooperative First, we'll just go to the presentation and hit that little link starting childcare co-ops in Manitoba and then go from there basically.
Yep, all of the information will be sent out, or you can contact myself and I can send you the link. That's not a problem. And
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
good luck. I hope
Thank
that
you.
everything works out for you.
Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much.
And I'll throw a little shameless plug in there for Cooperatives First as well. They're fantastic to talk to, ask any questions, and they do their best to make sure that they're always available to answer any questions. So thank you so much for the questions, Heather. Delmer, I see your hand up.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, Dalmer not here. We from the RM of St. Francis Xavier. We are facing a similar crisis in our town. Not a similar one. It is a crisis. We presently have one daycare building operating, and we have 214 kids on a waiting list. So we've been trying to secure the land. We've been trying to go through the processes of with the daycare board as well. But we haven't tried this Cooperatives First, so maybe that's an option that is now opening the door for us for some other possibilities because the jam is causing a lot of problems. Same as, I mean, it goes further. It goes even to the school system here, where we have people in our municipality that at one time could get into the school that are being told now they can't because it's too full. So I mean, first problem, I guess, is getting daycare because again, I understand where you guys are coming from as far as growth. We're at a standstill in for that area of it for family growth because that's one of the first questions a family asks is daycare and then school and everything else kind of flows after that. But the most important things are those two. So I really appreciate this, and I will be definitely sending you an email this morning even. And I would just love to have a discussion further, or you can send me some contacts and we can go from there. So I appreciate this. It has given me some hope.
Well,
So
thank you. And that's just it. You said that you have 240. We had 120. Someone else was saying they have 80 spots that they're looking for. There's no cap on that 60% coming from the government. Just know that. They have not put, 60% up to 2 million, 60% up to 3 million. There's no cap on that 60% as of right now. So if your need is a 200 size building for 200 spots, this is an excellent opportunity to get in on that because we don't know what's going to come in the future. We don't know what's going to change. We're really lucky that the current government decided to carry this over knowing that the childcare spaces were a need, but there's no guarantee after 2026 that that's going to happen because that contract only went until March of 2026. So I encourage you to, get on top of it now and really look into it because 200 spots, that's a big building. That's a big need. And 60% is nothing to balk at. It's a good chunk of change. So
well, it is when you're looking at the purpose behind it, right? Community
yes,
growth
yes.
and our youth and our aging in place, it's all works together, but you gotta start at the ground level. So I appreciate that. I now know that there's an option. The crunch is on. So yeah, let's get her done.
That's right. Good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Delmer. I will also mention that the other roadblock besides a facility is finding the staff and the staff training. But just to make people aware that there are programs available from the Manitoba government as well for up to a $5,000 reimbursement for folks that are taking their CCA courses, or not just their CCA courses, but also their early childhood educator class as well. I've got one more question, actually a couple questions in the chat here for you, Kara.
Yep.
April was asking about the workbook that you were talking about. Is that a workbook that comes from Cooperatives First?
It does, yeah. So you have to register with them in order to be able to get that book. I do believe that they will share it before you say yes, just so that you can look through. But I mean, it goes hand in hand. They ask you some questions to fill out. They take it back. They fill out some of your needs, your wants, and direct you into the right people who can help you fill out your grant information, help you apply for your building permits. Like it goes right across the board. Like they take care of everything. So
Okay, excellent. And just before I read this last question that we have here, I just want to apologize where we had a little hiccup with our questionnaire at the beginning. Zoom just is not being reliable for us this morning. So I'll ask Alma to go ahead and share the questionnaire again, please. And if everybody wouldn't mind just taking a couple minutes to complete this. And in that process, I have a question from Kayla. Does an expansion to an existing childcare center qualify for the 60% government funding?
I do believe so, but it'll depend on what kind of childcare center, I think. There's different grants that are happening right now across the board, and you're just going to have to either research it or ask Cooperatives First if you decide to go that route. I know that if you're already in a school, that there's some funding available through a different program to either expand or build daycares onto a school. Whether it fits into the 60%, I'm not 100% sure. So I just know it wasn't an option for us. We had to build a new facility off grounds. And so I really don't know the answer because it wasn't something we were looking into. So.
Okay. So again, if anybody has any additional questions, feel free to throw them into the chat or raise your hand. One question I do have with going through Cooperatives First, or I guess the corporate structure, did you decide to go for or as a for-profit, not-for-profit, charitable organization?
We are a not-for-profit, and it'll be obviously a cooperative. So we have to put it out to so many different community members to join. That's part of what the process that we're doing. So it's not just parents that will become members. It will be open to anyone in our community, any business that wants to have a say, they can buy a membership as well. So yeah, but we are definitely going to be a not-for-profit.
Okay, fantastic. And the reason I bring that up is just, you mentioned about writing grants and everything like that too, but just to make sure attendees know that as a not-for-profit, there are other grants that they can be applying for throughout the years as well.
That's right.
All right. And I guess my only other additional question is, has there been discussion about having to increase staff or anything at this time, or has all the focus just been on a new build?
We are looking at working with Robertson College out of Winnipeg. We've offered it to our community before. We didn't have any bites, but I think it's because our center right now is fully staffed and we weren't quite there yet. Once we see some shovels in the ground, we're anticipating that we're going to have people coming forward. We've had a few that are trained, that are driving, that are looking at coming to work in town. And I don't want to say that casually because I know that that creates a problem in other communities that our staff are driving to currently, but we do plan on having a session here or assisting with finding staff in the future. So.
Perfect. All right, now I got to apologize again, everybody. We have a post-webinar survey as well, so I'll ask Alma to share that now. I was listening to a podcast from Doug Griffiths, and his partner Heather had also mentioned about using daycare services as a valuable marketing tool, where people have different locations, historical sites, and everything like that. She identified that there's a number of communities that don't highlight the fact that they've got spots available in their daycare. And the way I see it, you could have all the doctors, mechanics, chefs, everything come into your community. But if there's nobody available to watch their kids, then a lot of times people are forced to stay home to make sure they're looked after. So it's fantastic to see that the community of Carberry realizes the importance.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do a final call for any questions. Either throw it into the chat, raise your hand, or as Kara said, she also shared her contact information. She's a wonderful resource. So if you have any questions, always reach out. And in addition, if there's any additional questions or anything like that too, be sure to reach out to us at RMED as well. So seeing no other questions, I can't think of any more for you right now there, Kara, but thank you again for joining us today.
Well, thank you for listening to our story. We're pretty excited about all that's happening here in town, and this is a major step for us. So thank you.
Fantastic, and you should be very excited about it. That's fantastic. And just again to share that yes, this webinar will be recorded and available on the RMED website as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Hopefully we answered some of your questions, and thank you again, Kara.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody.